Can I back out of a transaction? In this video, we will discuss whether you can back out of a real estate transaction after agreeing to it and under what circumstances this may be possible. Number 1, conditional transactions. If your transaction is conditional on certain conditions such as financing or inspection, and you do not meet those conditions, you can back out of the transaction. This is because the agreement is contingent on these clauses being fulfilled. Please bear in mind the deadlines in your agreement and ensure to notify the sellers before these deadlines. Number 2, firm transactions. After a transaction becomes firm, either by submitting a firm offer without conditions or by fulfilling or waiving the conditions in a conditional offer, you can no longer go back out of the transaction. At this point, both the buyer and the sellers are legally obligated to complete the transaction according to the terms of the agreement. The only way to potentially back out of a firm transaction now is if you and the sellers agree to mutually terminate the agreement. Number 3, consequences of backing out after firming of the offer. As a buyer, if you back out of an agreement without the seller's consent, the consequences could be pretty severe. At the minimum, you will lose your deposit. The seller can then sue you for any additional potential losses due to the agreement not being honored. Generally, the sellers will list the property for sale, and if the property sells for less than the price you bought it for, you will be responsible for the difference. Recently, there was a case that was just settled in Ontario. The buyers withdrew from a firm sale. The sellers then went on to sell the property for less than the original buyers agreed to buy it for. The sellers took the original buyers to the court and won. The original buyers lost their deposit to the sellers and had to pay the seller the difference in price of the property, interest on the difference, the seller's lawyer's fee, and all the carrying costs such as the taxes, utilities, fees, and more. Backing out of a real estate transaction is only possible when the agreement is still conditional and the conditions have not been met. Once the transaction becomes firm, both parties are legally bound to complete the deal, and backing out of the deal is no longer an option unless they mutually come together and agree upon it. This is why it is very important to do your due diligence before a purchase. I insist that all my clients do a comprehensive need analysis with us to ensure we have a good understanding of your affordability and your needs before we place offers. This helps us to advise you well and avoid you falling into such situations where you cannot afford a property or you get buyer's remorse after you have a bid accepted.